I'm Frank Stanisci of Candid Frank Live, where you'll find us airing our views here on the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV, channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate and leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also on all smart TVs 2016 forward. Now on Candid Frank Live, joining me is Aaron William Freeland. Hello, Aaron. Thanks
Hi,
for
Frank.
being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, bit of a problem here. It's what happens when you do more than one show a day. You get a little confused, but it doesn't take much for me to get confused. So let's just say we'll cut me a break and say, not too big an idiot, just right.
We'll definitely cut you a break, Frank. That's not a problem.
Thanks, buddy. Okay, how was the track on the weekend?
The track was actually a lot of fun. A little bit busier than expected. They need more than one wrecker, but I'm pretty sure they'll get it sorted out.
I liked your headphones.
Appreciate that.
Well, explain to the people where you were and what you were doing.
Right. Apologies. So this weekend was the Shannonville Motorsports Park Cup race weekend. They have about 3 or 4 of these a year. So I went up this year with my cousin who does this sort of thing as well. Basically what we do is we sit there in the pits and make sure that people behave and wear the right clothing and nothing bad happens. And if a car comes in that needs assistance, for example, say putting out a small engine fire or brake fire, we can assist with that sort of thing. But there was F1600 races, what they call Formula Libre, which is the old Formula Fords, and of course some GT cars, GTs 1 through 5. So that was fun.
Yeah, I used to call a few of those races. I called about a half dozen back in the 80s.
Where'd you do it?
Shannonville.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But then it was just an old little track. I guess it's still rickety, or have they upgraded it?
They've made some changes to it. I know when it first started back in '74, it would have been a 6-turn go-kart track. My uncle Ron Evans was actually the chief scrutineer at the time that they went live for about 4 or 5 years there before moving on to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, or as it was known back then, Mosport.
Yes, yes. So he was at Shannonville back in the 80s?
Back in the early to mid 70s, yeah, when it first started, 74 to 78 in that neighborhood.
Well, ask him if he ever remembers Rogers coming there and doing some of the races.
I'll certainly ask him. Sure.
And then
his
the guy with the
memory's getting worse, but I'm pretty sure he might remember something like that.
You can ask him if he remembers the guy with the mustache. Anyway, okay, let's start the show, and we'll start with the Canadian Football League, and I'll just throw these out there. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers defeated the Saskatchewan Roughriders 25-16. The Ottawa Red Blacks 26 to Montreal's 27. They came close, almost beat them. The same is true with the Ticats. They missed by 1. Toronto 18-17. The Calgary Stampeders, we talked on CFL Talk, and you can join us at 9 o'clock tonight about how angry Calgary will probably come out of the gate this year, and they've looked angry, and they took it out on Edmonton 37-7. And then, of course, the BC Lions beat the Saskatchewan Roughriders 20-18. Now, you didn't get a chance to go to the Argo game, right?
Unfortunately, no. I was already out of town by that point, so it is what it is. How come you missed it, Frank?
Personal stuff. I had to take care of some personal stuff. And it was too much time out of the day to drive to Guelph to come back here. It's like it's about a 9-hour turnaround, 10 hour turnaround. So by the time you get, yeah, but well, it's because by the time you got to get there early because you want to cover the game. You want to get there on time, so you go early. Then you sit there and wait for the interview. Sometimes that takes up to an hour. So the next thing you know, you're home at 2 a.m. So, and I had some stuff I needed to get done. Like I said, personal stuff, but it all worked out, and we'll move on from there. Also, I don't know if you heard that Sirius XM and the CFL announced a get together. So the CFL had lost a couple of radio stations over the past year. This sort of kind of makes up for that kind of sort of. So I hope everybody will join us at 9 p.m. tonight for CFL Talk. Now, tell me about some of the stuff that you've got for us on the Canadian Football League, starting with the Calgary Stampeders.
Well, there was a trade that went down over the weekend. They acquired global punter James Smith in a trade with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So in exchange for the 27-year-old Australian, the Stampeders sent a conditional 7th-round pick in the 2023 CFL draft and a 3rd-round pick in the 2023 Global draft to the Riders. Smith has punted twice for Saskatchewan during the preseason and is averaging 48 yards a kick. He's played 49 games over 4 seasons at the University of Cincinnati and was an All-American Athletic Conference each year. So first team honors in 2017 and 2018 and second team recognition in 2019 and 2020. Admittedly, both of those were difficult years. So he's been doing well. He's been averaging about 43.5 yards per kick. So that's pretty good, pretty decent.
Argos Elks make a deal.
Yeah, so this is a bit of a player swap, and interestingly enough, these are players I've actually heard of before. So, yeah, the Edmonton Elks announced Sunday that the club had acquired Jalen Collins and Martez Ivey from the Toronto Argonauts in exchange for a 6th-round pick in the 2023 CFL draft. Ivey played with the Argos last season, suiting up for one regular season game against the Elks before starting at right tackle in the Eastern Final against the Hamilton Ticats. So he's got some playoff experience there. He previously spent time with Carolina and the New England Patriots, and in 2022 played 5 games with the Tampa Bay Vipers of the XFL before the league ceased operations. So that's decent. Collins is entering his 2nd year in the CFL. Played 5 times in the regular season and appeared in the Eastern Final with the Argos in 2021 as well. He played 2 seasons with the Falcons in 2015 and 16 and was part of Atlanta's run to the Super Bowl 51, where he had 11 tackles in a 34-28 overtime loss to the New England Patriots. So there's some pedigree there that they're picking up.
Absolutely, and one game you play with Edmonton, with the Argos, one game you impress Edmonton, I guess. Good deal for him.
Good work if you can get it.
Former NHL referee Tim Peel calls Nazem Kadri's injury karma.
Yeah, so this is the referee that had his employment terminated by the NHL last season, specifically for using his outside voice instead of his inside voice when it came to discussing game management. He was caught on a hot mic talking with another referee about saying, well, I had to give them that penalty because of this penalty in the first period, and blatantly admitted to it. Now, in a tweet, which has since been deleted, Tim Peel crowed out, "Karma!" when Evander Kane ran Nazem Kadri from behind early in the first period of the most recent Colorado-Edmonton game, putting Kadri out for the rest of the series. So,
Kane gets suspended 1 game, which they say is far more in the playoffs. I think it was actually a pretty, I think it was a pretty violent cross.
I mean,
it was in that zone,
that nasty spot, 0 to 3 feet from the boards. It was a 5-minute penalty. Normally, when something like that happens as well, it usually comes with a 1-game suspension, anyways. So in this particular case, he was assessed a 5-minute major, and that was it. But yeah, it was a really nasty to see. Felt bad for Kadri after that.
The Lightning win Game 3. It didn't look like they were going to, but they did it.
Yeah, it's been tough for the favorites. The Lightning have been favored, but they went down 2-0 to the Rangers before finally having a chance to score a game-winning goal. Palat did with 41 seconds remaining. Thanks to him, I got a free Timmy's coffee, so that's cool. But yeah, this is one of those situations where they finally got timely scoring just when they needed it, to sort of help them get back a little bit closer to even.
They had to adjust their game. If you remember, we were talking about how many times they grabbed Leaf sticks and didn't get a penalty. There had to have been in that series at least a half dozen or more times that they grabbed a Leaf player's stick and wouldn't let go either. It's not a subtle move. They scored a goal on one of them with Muzzin trying to yank his stick out of the hands of a Tampa player. No penalties were called under those circumstances. The first time they grab a New York Rangers stick, they get a penalty, and they also get scored on. They had to adjust the way they play. New York is not the Toronto Maple Leafs. New York is a team that the league would like to see win. And Tim Peel is not the only one that plays fast and loose with penalties. The NHL does it on a regular basis, the way they award penalties to and suspensions. So I'm not surprised. Good for Tampa for making it a series, but I think they're in tough.
No, they definitely are. It's not going to be a cakewalk for them to the finals like it has been in previous seasons, what with the COVID shortened season last year and the bubble the year before. It's going to be slightly more difficult this time around. And by slightly more difficult, I mean almost exactly as difficult as it has been to win in the previous 2 years.
You're always going to have difficulty. So um, it looks like Kadri won't come back in the series. There are a lot of fans, ex-Leaf. Sorry, a lot of Leaf fans love this ex-Leaf, especially now. It isn't something that's been consistent since he left. I think people, realize, and I personally believe, and always thought that if Kadri would have been on a team that had a little more bite on the Leaf team, like if he was on the Leaf team today, the team they have today, where they don't have a bunch of guys total, the whole group of guys, nobody has any bite back, any fight back. He'd still be here and he wouldn't have taken those suspensions, but he was alone and fighting a battle, the good fight. But unfortunately, he was trying to make up for a lot of stuff, a lot of toughness that just wasn't in the lineup. So he looks great there in Colorado.
Yeah, it's a shame. Bednar has said that he'll be out until at least the end of this series, if not longer. Based on the hit, yeah, it wasn't good. I
I
mean, it's
hope
one of
I hope
those
he ends
plays
up.
where you get trained like that. Don't hit the numbers, but
Yeah.
that's what he did.
Well, unfortunately, that's when you and I talked about the reason, the location of where he was hit. The reason it's so dangerous in that, more than 2 feet from the boards, all you're grabbing is air, and then all you're
Yeah,
doing, you're hitting the boards momentum without any ability to really protect yourself. So we hope he's okay.
most definitely.
All right, the Montreal Canadiens sign Weidman.
So this was a given. I think the way that he played, he basically earned a contract. They've signed him to a 2-year extension. He had 4 goals and 27 points in 64 games last season after signing a 1-year show me deal in July of 2021. So this fourth round draft pick of the Senators from 2009, uh, he's proved his worth in the NHL. He's had stops with the Senators, the Oilers, the Panthers, and now the Habs. So I'm glad to see him getting a chance at having a slightly longer period with another team. So good for him.
Larry Hillman, youngest player to have his name on the Stanley Cup, has passed away at the age of 85. And Aaron, he was 18 plus a few days. So it's going to be hard for any other player because you can't start playing in the NHL now until you're 18.
Unless you get one of those special exemptions. Yeah, it's
They don't happen in the
Hillman.
NHL, though. It's not like junior. I
No, no. And
don't know.
that,
Do
I
you ever
mean,
see
he
a 17-year-old coming in?
not lately.
Because they
No,
can't get
actually,
drafted. They got to be
it's really
drafted.
hard, right? I mean, he was part of 6 Stanley Cup winning teams.
Yeah.
He was with the Leafs where he won 4. It's one of those. It's one of those cases where he won a lot of cups, but he was one of the lesser lights. He was never really one of those super standout players, but he was always rock solid and dependable. So it's
And he skated really hunched. See, I
yeah.
remember because I remember watching him play. He was a hunchback skater. I don't know. But, he was, like you said, and he had a brother named Wayne Hellman. So, between him and his brother, they won 6 Stanley Cups.
It's good to see.
Okay.
It's a shame he's passed, but it's good to see.
Yeah. No, great player. Again, he was on that 67 Maple Leaf team that won the cup last. The Jets signed Tyler Bauer.
Yeah.
Terrell
So
Bauer.
this was their 6th round pick in the 2020 entry draft. So he was drafted by the Jets in the 6th round. He's playing in his 4th full season with the Seattle Thunderbirds, who play Game 7 of their Western Conference Final tonight against the Kamloops Blazers. He's been the team captain since 2021 and has posted 5 goals and 5 assists and 59 penalty minutes in 32 games for the Thunderbirds this season. So he's also added another 4 assists and 16 penalty minutes while playing in all 18 of the playoff games so far. So he unfortunately spent most of the season out with a knee injury, but apparently there's enough there for the Winnipeg Jets to want to sign him. So good for him. That's fantastic news.
Soccer Canada, Panama match canceled because of labor equity.
Yeah, this was one of those cases where, they were first playing Iran and everybody said, why? So they canceled that and said that they were going to play Panama. And then approximately 45 minutes to 2 hours before game time, all of a sudden it's revealed that they're currently striking. So in March, they'd initiated contract discussions with Canada Soccer. Due to executives delaying the process and taking vacations, the negotiation process was unnecessarily prolonged. Canada Soccer waited until the evening of July 2nd to present an offer, and the General Secretary and President of the association only made themselves available for the first time to connect with players on June 4th at 4 p.m. So that's the reason why they've decided not to play against Panama. Again, from one bad situation, bouncing themselves right to another. So it's
And this is an opportunity that is not something that's guaranteed. I mean,
no.
it's the World Cup. Find a sponsor or something. I mean, maybe tomorrow or Wednesday we'll talk about it when we have more time. Right now we don't, but I'll suffice it to say that the Canadian players sacrifice a lot to play. So let's keep that in mind. And the Canadian Soccer Association has had a reputation for doing things sometimes that were untoward and less of benefit to the players, more of benefit of management. And that seems to be the question too. Major League Baseball, several Rays players opted out of. Well, you tell us about it.
So basically, this is Pride Month, as everybody knows. Corporations go rainbow for this particular month in support of the LGBTQ community. Now, the Rays actually made their Pride Night uniforms optional. Sorry,
Optional. Yep.
according to Mark Tompkins of the Tampa Bay Times, allowing players to make their own decisions about whether or not they wanted to wear the rainbow hat and put the rainbow decal on their sleeves. Now, there were a group of people that included Jason Adam, Jalen Beeks, Brooks Raley, Jeffrey Springs, and Ryan Thompson, who decided that they wanted to opt out of it. In particular, Jason Adams, who spoke on behalf of that group, says a lot of time it comes down to faith. It's like a faith-based decision. So it's a hard one because ultimately we all said what we want is them to know that they are all welcome and loved here. But when we put it on our bodies, a lot of guys decide that it's just a lifestyle that maybe not that they look down on anybody or think that differently. It's just that maybe we don't want to encourage it if we believe in Jesus, who's encouraged us to live a lifestyle that would abstain from that behavior. Just like Jesus encourages me as a heterosexual male to abstain from sex outside of the confines of marriage, it's no different. It's not judgmental. It's not looking down. It's just what we believe the lifestyle he's encouraging us to live for our good, not to withhold. But again, we love these men and women. We care about them. We want them to feel safe and welcome here. So he's,
Okay.
yeah, I don't necessarily buy the reason myself.
I'll tell you, I do, and here's why I do. They truly believe what they believe. And as long as he understands that he can't tell anybody else how to live, then I'm okay with it. You don't have to. I don't think, Aaron, that you have to um, accept somebody's lifestyle, but you need to respect it. If I can split that hair, and I think that's what they did, and I don't mind that they did that. I appreciate them being honest the way they were, rather than somebody who pretends to put it on and then really doesn't. Or is far more negative. You know what I mean? So we've got to learn to coexist, and we can't always expect that we all travel on the same track, but at least we can stay on the same road together, the same path, the same direction. So yeah, I can understand why they said that. I'm not neither promoting or demoting it. I'm just saying I can understand it.
Now, Kevin Cash did also say that it's created a lot of good conversations in the clubhouse itself
There it is.
about
And there it
valuing the different perspectives inside the clubhouse and also appreciating the community they're trying to support. As Adam said, it's one of those things where my parents taught me to love everybody as they are. Go live your life. Whatever your preferences are, go be you. I can't speak for anybody who's in here. Obviously, this is a family-friendly environment here at a big league ball field. We just want everyone to feel welcomed and included and cheer us on, no matter what your views on anything are. Now, the argument could be made they would feel more included if you actually had the rainbow on your sleeve. But at the same time, I do respect his decision and his choice. I may not necessarily agree with it, but I can respect his right to make it.
Hey, Darren, if you don't vote for conservative, does that mean you don't respect conservative thinking people?
No, it just means I don't think
You
of
don't
the
have
same
to
things
vote
they do.
conservative. You can
No.
still appreciate them as people and as equals without voting for them. It's
Yeah.
that's the way I see it. Like, if it's not your cup of tea, it's not your cup of tea. You're being honest. Just it just seems to me that the left has gone too far. This kind of stuff, you have to put me first if you think we're equal. Well, why should anyone put anybody first? We tell people they shouldn't consider themselves last. So I agree with what these guys did, and I think we should leave room for people to believe what they believe as long as they're not hurting anyone or putting anyone down. We don't have to lift everybody up. In my opinion, we don't have to lift everybody up. We can walk with people. We don't have to lift them up. But we somehow have decided that the only way to prove you're willing to walk with somebody is if you lift them up above you. And that's not right either, because nobody should come in second, in my opinion. Okay, well, hey, listen, I think we did it. I think that's the show, man.
Yeah, I think we got all the points we wanted to get.
Yeah. Well, no, we didn't get to a whole section, but that we'll write that one off for later, I guess, right? All right,
Perfect.
dude. Thanks,
Take it
Aaron.
easy, Frank.
Aaron William Freeland. I'm Candid Frank Stanisci. Thank you for watching. Candid Frank Live airing Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish World Radio Network. For Candid Frank Live, other news, entertainment, and sports programming we offer, please check out spanglishworld.ca. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time.